Hello again, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel. I am your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome once again to In Your Face. This is one of those subjects that every once in a while I like to touch base on. And before we get underway, I know I kind of put a small disclaimer in the intro. However, I want to be a little bit more detailed about this disclaimer. First and foremost, here on the Prince Magnum channel, I, Prince Magnum, do not believe in the zombie apocalypse. After 13 years in the medical field, and even though I'm retired, I, for one, find it a little hard to swallow that the zombie apocalypse is possible, okay? I know some of you out there are going to say, but the CDC, yeah, I read that. If you'd have read beyond that the big heading on it, you would understand that the CDC basically said that if you prepare for a zombie apocalypse, you're pretty much prepared for everything. So just because I don't believe in the zombie apocalypse, preparing for one is not stupid. Now, if you want to believe in the zombie apocalypse, it is not my business to tell you your business, okay? Everything you hear on here is just an opinion. The other thing I want to say, and up front, and I mean this with a great deal of sincerity, there was once a time that we all, guys like myself used to stand around and say, hey, who do you think would win in a fight? Well, that has evolved over time. And it has evolved into what would you do in the case of the zombie apocalypse. So this is great conversation fodder. And so in that regard, the zombie apocalypse is not stupid. It's a great way to carry on a conversation among friends. It's, a great way to prepare for a natural disaster. But if you want to believe in it, and again, I mean this with a great deal of sincerity, I believe your imagination would be better suited writing books instead of worrying about something this fictitious. I mean, that's just my opinion. If you want to believe in it and that sort of thing and imagine all that, take some time and write a book, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. Book writing is it's a great way to, anyhow, that's another subject for another time. Just write a book if you're going to have that much imagination, okay? And I mean that with a lot of love. All right. Now that we've gotten all that out of the way, for those who do not know, I did a video like almost 4 years ago. I think it's been about 4 years ago. 5 things I'd take to the zombie apocalypse. Now, this is basically an expansion on that. We're going to go a little deeper into some categories, okay? And I've basically kind of narrowed down this weapons category to a total of 5, okay? And some of them are going to be kind of extensive. Some of them are going to be pretty simple. We're going to try to keep this short, but I can't promise anything. So I will do my very, very best. At least I'll have some video up there that'll look kind of halfway interesting, okay? So here are the categories in no particular order. We're going to talk about rifles. We're going to talk about pistols or sidearms, whatever you want to call them. We're going to talk about shotguns. We're going to talk about some melee weapons, and then we're going to talk about firearms that do not require, propellant, basically bows. Okay, so we're going to keep this pretty simple, and there's even going to be some stuff in there that Princess Faye has suggested me putting in there. So let's kick this off. Here's the first one: rifles. Okay. If you remember the original video, I like bolt-action rifles. But not all bolt-action rifles are the same. Be wary of certain bolt-action rifles in the commercial market that use plunger extractors. Plunger extractors kind of have a tendency to try to double feed. Sometimes they hang up with a little wear and tear. If you're trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, you definitely want to kind of shy away from, weapons that are going to break down on you. try to stay with your military stuff. Now, I would love to tell you that German K98s are everywhere. They're easy to get, like in the original video. Unfortunately, they're not. Um, it's time has marched on. They're hard to get. A lot of people have bought them up. You might get lucky enough to get an M48 Hugo Mauser, and that's pretty much almost exactly like the German K98 from World War II. But even those are starting to get hard to come by. Honestly and truthfully, Springfield does still make the 1903. You can still buy them. You could buy them brand new, fresh out of the box, direct from the factory. And Springfield is a U.S. firearms company. Support your home. Great weapon all around. 30-06, very reliable, very versatile. Ask any deer hunter, ask any World War II veteran. They will tell you 30-06 is the way to go. And you can actually get tracer rounds for these if you want to light up the night, but I don't recommend it. The phosphorus rounds are kind of hard on the rifling, but I digress. Okay. Great choice. Pretty much any bolt action that you can get your hands on that fires 30-06 or 308, just go with that. I'm also a big fan of lever action. The Wild West got it right. Okay, lever action rifles are the way to go. Now, not all of them are exactly, the perfect rifles. Okay, there's some that are out there that are great, some of them that aren't so great. Myself personally, I'm not a huge fan of Winchester, though they are reliable. Winchester, even though they have worked the bugs out of this, a lot of times they're notorious for throwing empty casings up in your face. Myself personally, I like Marlin. New England Arms sells a good one. Henry repeating rifles, obviously another great choice. If you want to if you're one of these people that you want to be conscientious of weight, you can get a lever action in 357 or 44 Magnum, and if you carry a revolver with the same cartridge, you only have to carry one type of round. So that's there was people back in the old days and frontier days and the Wild West that they did that. So that might be a choice for you. Okay. I'm not going to sit there and talk about autos. Not all autos and semi-automatics are alike. Myself personally, I'm not a huge fan of the autos. If you have to get one, stay with SKS, AK-47, M1 Garand. Anything like that, you can't go wrong. Again, I'm not a huge fan of any AR-15 styles. Those are really only for really advanced shooters, because if anything goes wrong with them, they'll jam. You have to take them apart. You have to clean them. There's a lot of moving parts in there, and the more moving parts you get in them, the more unreliable they become. So just kind of skip all that. And honestly and truthfully, I'm just not a fan of AR-15 style weapons. Mainly because anything in the auto category that require magazines, and yes, magazines are quicker to load into a weapon, but they take forever to load when the magazines are empty. And if you lose those magazines, the weapons are useless. So just skip it. Go with a good, reliable lever action or a bolt action rifle, and you can't go wrong. Okay. And just stay with internal box magazine or tubular magazine, and you get the general idea. Or even a little Cricket 22 single shot. Simple, reliable, and accurate. There you go. Let's move on. Pistols. I know I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, because there's a lot of people that sit there and say autos, and they keep saying 9mm. Okay. I am not a huge fan of autos, but if you were to twist my arm and say which auto is the best, I am going to say a 1911 45 ACP. It's I mean, there's tons of companies that make the 1911 in some way, shape, or form. And the stopping power of a 45 is greater than a 9 millimeter. To me, a 9 millimeter, the only thing going for it is that it has a great follow up. And honestly and truthfully, that is not a great selling point. Okay? A 45's got a lot more stopping power. Period. Okay? This is why special forces in our U.S. military have went back to using it. So if it's still working for our military for over 100 years in some way, shape, or form, there's something to be said about it. Now, that being the case, I did say if you were to twist my arm, I'm old school. I like a good wheel gun. Okay? I love my revolvers. And to simply put, fresh out of the box, a revolver is going to be more reliable, more accurate, and more powerful than any automatic you're going to buy. With automatics, to make them as reliable and accurate as a revolver, you are going to spend a lot more money than you will on a revolver. On top of that, revolvers have that great ability. They don't have to rely on magazines. You put the bullets in. Period. The rounds go in. No magazines to fiddle with. Again, magazines are easier to load into the weapon, but if you don't have the magazines or all your magazines are empty, the weapon is useless. With revolvers, that's not a problem. Trust me when I say our forefathers in the 1800s, they knew a good thing when they saw it. And I'll tell you, hands down, bar none, the revolvers will always be more reliable than an auto. Period. And if you don't believe me, go back to that original video. I showed an Uberti's clone, the Walker Colt revolver. That revolver, take a look at the history of it sometime. I promise you, you'll be a revolver fan after looking at it. As a matter of fact, the History Channel, thankfully the video is on YouTube. You can look at the history of Magnum guns, and they do talk about the Walker Colt. Okay? So take a look at that for yourself, and we'll move on from there. Revolvers are the way to go. Next category, shotguns. I hear a lot of you out there sit there going, this tactical pump action, that tactical. Why in the world do you have to complicate something so simple? If you're going to go with a pump action, the most easily customizable shotgun in the pump action world is the Mossberg 500. Why do you need to just add all the bells and whistles? Okay? If it's got a barrel and a trigger and ammo to go with it, it doesn't get any easier. Let me simplify the shotgun world right down to a T. You only need to choose from 3 types of shotguns. 12 gauge because it's the one most commonly used and it is the most versatile. 20 gauge, it doesn't beat you up as much and it does provide a great deal of stopping power still. As a matter of fact, 20 gauge is oftentimes you see it in youth models. Great way, a great intermediate shotgun round. And then last but not least, the 410. Now I know some of you are going 410, Prince Magnum. That really isn't well, the 410, despite its small size, does interchange with the 45 long Colt pistol round. So if you wanted to carry a shotgun, you can turn right around and again carry a Taurus Judge, and you can carry 45 long Colt or your 410 shotgun shells, again saving weight. You don't have to carry all these different types of ammos. It's just and if you want to get into making it extremely versatile, just look for the ones that have modified chokes so you can not only shoot buckshot, in double-aught buck or whatever you want, you can also shoot slugs. That's as simple as it gets. It doesn't matter if it's a single shot, a double barrel, an over, under. a pump action, a semi-automatic. I don't care. A shotgun is only as good as the ammo and the choke. Period. Why do we got to complicate it? All right, moving on. Melee weapons. This one's going to be as simple as it gets. Again, all these videos are overcomplicating things. One of my first choices will always be a good 3-inch fixed blade knife. Lethal blows in the knife world, 3 inches or more. Period. That's as simple as it gets. Okay. A good tomahawk or camping axe. My ancestors, I'm Native American, my ancestors knew a good thing when they seen it. A tomahawk works wonders. It is the original multi-purpose tool of the frontier. Take a look at your history. You'll find that many of the original frontiersmen, even like the Rogers Rangers, which eventually led up to the modern day U.S. Army Rangers, they carried tomahawks. By the way, some of our Army Rangers today still carry tomahawks. There's even videos on YouTube showing you how versatile the tomahawk really is. Definitely a way to go. Princess Faye, she recommends a good, and I mean a really good, Rambo-style survival knife. Now, when I say good, I mean a really good one. Don't get one of these ones that got the flimsy plastic handles, or these, don't just go over to your local flea market and buy one. Get one from a reputable source. Bud K is definitely a way to go in that department. If you call them up, tell them what you're looking for, they'll point you in the right direction, and you don't have to break the bank. Okay? Princess Faye and I also recommend, if you don't want anything crazy like that, a good folding pocket knife with a pocket clip, a thumb stud, and something that holds an edge. Do not break the bank. Walmart will, I guarantee, you can go over to your local Walmart, anywhere from $3 to $10, and you have a good solid pocket knife that will hold an edge, take a beating, and it will work just fine in the zombie apocalypse. Do not spend tons of money for anything special. Don't get hung up on that Louisville Slugger and all this. Just skip it, okay? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Just like, why we got to complicate something so simple? And last but not least, Princess Faye did help me out with this. For those of you who love to watch The Walking Dead, we're going to talk about bows. Now, I'm not going to sit there and get hung up on crossbows. Crossbows can go anywheres from, I've seen, for a decent crossbow, you'll spend anywhere from $150 all the way up to, I've seen, $500. Oh my gosh. For something that throws a bolt that's just a small arrow, for that much money, good God, why spend that kind of cash? Skip all of that. Go out to your local Walmart or a good sporting goods store, or like Rural King, somewhere like that, and you can get yourself a youth model recurve bow. You'll spend anywhere from $25 up to $50, and it works just fine. Just be mindful of the arrows you get, or learn how to make your own. Okay, basically, between the ammo, the arrows and the heads and the bow itself, you'll basically spend as much as you would for just buying the crossbow. Why why spend more money when you can get something that is as reliable and as accurate as as a longbow? Okay, and the longbow has been around for hundreds of thousands of years. armies have used it. The English longbowsman was the sniper of his day and was one of the most feared people on the battlefield before there was firearms. Okay, my Native American ancestors believed in the bow, and I will tell you that any longbow or recurve works just fine. Do not make it any more complicated than you really have to. Okay, do not complicate something as simple as killing the undead. Okay, just stop it. Okay, why do keep it simple? Keep it simple. Okay, and Princess Faye actually helped me with that one because I'm like, what's another category? And she said, bows. I like bows, and I tend to agree with her. A bow, it would be actually more preferable than a firearm, because a firearm makes noise and the bow doesn't. So something to think about. Okay. All right, that brings us to the point, kind of an executive recap. Rifles, good bolt action rifle or lever action, with sidearms or pistols. A good revolver, 357 Magnum or 44 Magnum will work just fine. If you want a small caliber 22 long rifle or 22 Magnum, any one of those will work just fine. And if you look hard enough, again, you can get 22 long rifle, 22 Magnum, 357 Magnum, and 44 Magnum in lever action, so you don't have to carry more than one type of ammo. You can actually just carry one type of ammo, saving you space and weight. For shotguns, any of them will work, whatever you like, as long as it's a 12 gauge, a 20 gauge, or 410 with a modified choke. Melee weapons, tomahawk or camping axe, a good fixed blade knife, 3 inches or more, a good tactical folder. Don't break the bank on it. And of course, the bow category, a good longbow or recurve, whatever you like. It does not have to be all that expensive. It does not have to be a compound bow. It doesn't have to be a crossbow. Just a good, simple recurve bow will do you just fine. And there you go. That brings us to the end of this. This is just one man's opinion with a little help from his beautiful wife. You're welcome to debate this with me. I mean, I'm always open for constructive criticism and good constructive debate. That's what these videos are for. Great conversation fodder. Already looking forward to it. And if you want that, please leave a comment in the section below. I'm always open for ideas. Also, bear in mind, if you do leave any hate, either A, I'm going to delete it, or B, I'm going to make fun of you, depending on what my mood is that day. And as always, if you like this sort of stuff, please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed to the Prince Magnum channel, maybe now is the time. Hit that subscribe button. And as usual, get out there and work on a project. I don't care what it is. I don't care. Get out there and work on it. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet, and don't let them get eaten by a zombie. That would suck. And as always, if nobody has told any of you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you, and have a happy 24. Thank you. How many lives do you think I'd say?
Prince Random Channel rocks.